This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be typing the Microsoft CEO. I think I'm going to fuck up his name, Satya Nadella, for one of our members. Guys, we are allowing people to suggest people for us to be typed. You have to get to level 10. And guys, those who boost our server will get the nod over those who don't. And then I swear to God, if you fucking post more than one person, I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing it. Okay. Because me and Christian got a lot of shit we got to do when it comes to doing more road to demigod stuff, which is important to us. We got to finish the 16 types, and we got other ventures that we want to go about. Okay, guys. So the celebrity shit is not on the highest on our list, guys. We do use Linda Barron's interaction styles and temperament combined with cognitive functions. Anything you want to say before we get in this, Christian?
Yeah, man. Keep in mind, this guy, we were talking a little bit before the video, Mercer and I. Microsoft, we've been following the stock market for a while, and Microsoft was a little bit stagnant compared to Apple and other more innovative companies. This guy came in and changed the game, and ever since then, Microsoft has been booming because of their cloud service. So we're going to see why this guy is so important to the culture of Microsoft and why Microsoft is booming thanks to this guy because of this video as we type him. And of course, I'm going to be, searching for things, little tidbits that maybe we could provide the audience that they can incorporate into their developmental process or their personality so that they can improve over time as well. So stay tuned. Don't click off the video.
Let's go see what the monkeys over at Personality Database has him as. They have him as an ENTJ, ladies and gentlemen. ENTJ, that's my personality type. So that's going to be great to see. Guys, you can go to mongolianmindset.org and check out the type grid, guys. ENTJs are right there. The direct outcome, initiating, pragmatic, systematic, abstract, control outcome, whatever you want to say, initiating. And they display strategic intelligence is going to be their forte.
Mm-hmm.
TEFI and SENI. We just did an amazing comparison of two ENTJs, Donald Trump and Patrick Bet-David. You really want to check that out, guys. And let's get into this.
First of all, thank you so much, Tara, for having me here. It's great to be at the GSB, and Bob Dylan was my idol, so times must be changing. It's interesting. In fact, I just my father passed away just last month, and I've been reflecting quite a bit on what both my parents have meant to me. My father was a Marxist economist and a civil servant, and he had a definitive point of view on what life was all about and the struggle of life. And he's right. I mean, the guy always used to look at my scorecards and used to be amazed that somebody could be that bad. But luckily enough, I think in some sense he gave me, in spite of all of that, a lot.
What are you thinking so far, man?
It's interesting because, okay, so he's talking about early life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And during his early life, he was really bad at things, maybe starting out. That seems to parallel a little bit with your experience as far as like having to work for things to get better. But I need a little bit more information, of course. But
what about any of the metrics? What about informative, direct? Anything you see in there?
Well, I mean, it just started the conversation, but a little bit informative so far.
Yeah, that's what I was picking up too.
Yeah.
And I did get a shit FE joke twice. Shit FE jokes. And if you follow me in the Discord, who the fuck does shit FE jokes? When he said, oh, Bob Dylan was my idol, FE shit joke. And then right there, we said, my father was so confused with how bad I was. Shit FE joke again, man. These motherfuckers always think they funny and they laugh at their own fucking joke every fucking time. It ain't funny, you motherfuckers.
A lot of confidence, because to him, he felt like, look, it's a marathon. You'll catch up. This is not that hard. And my mother was exactly the opposite. Of course, the only question she would ever ask me is, are you happy? And I would say, what the heck does that mean? Like, when you're reading my scorecard, I don't know whether I should be happy or not. But
what does that mean? Is that a TI? That TI, Christian? What does that mean? That's TI?
Yeah.
What
and
does that mean?
I was sorry, I got distracted by his parents' parenting style. I think it's the right combination because the father was like gave him patience, and then the mother gave him like unconditional love, right? Which basically I had kind of similar with my dad, gave me unconditional love. So it gives a lot of confidence, and then he talked about getting confidence. So I got distracted by that because it seems to parallel some experience that I had. But yeah, we could continue.
All right, insight critic. Okay.
Again, the two of them, I think, when I look back, growing up in Hyderabad in India in the late 70s, early 80s, interestingly enough, there are 3 or 4 of us who now suddenly have become CEOs from the same high school in this, at that time, what was...
Sound like an outcome there, right? Interesting enough, these guys become CEOs too. I'm gonna hit them for outcome. Oh shit, man, look like INTP here.
Off the grid place. I think it was that ability to think,
Ability to think,
that ability to pursue your own passions, and have enough confidence as well as some humility. As sort of, when I look back, have been perhaps the biggest drivers of what's sort of turned out to be a reasonable set of things.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really clear how much your parents influenced you, and another foundational influence for you was sports. Now, my fellow international classmates and I, we're mystified daily by American sports references. So we're very happy to talk about cricket.
Yeah.
You love cricket, and you dreamt of playing professionally. What lessons did you take from the pitch?
Well, I mean, all of us who are South Asian are obsessed with that sport. And, it's sort of, in fact, that's right. I mean, that was what I was pretty much all bound up in all through my high school, into college. And, when I look back, I think all sport teaches you a lot. And especially, at least I feel, team sport, I think, has a huge impact in how you think about leadership. I'll never forget this.
Talking about how you think about leadership, and I think, bro, he's a TI user, right? What are you thinking? Informative too, Christian?
Yeah, informative. I'm
He's
seeing a lot
like
of
he's
informative
rambling.
outcome. Formative outcome.
Yeah.
I'm seeing
one particular incident that I've, I think, subsequently written about. There was this guy who was my school captain, who went on to do pretty well in the context of Indian cricket. I was bowling trash that day, and he took over from me, got a wicket, which is a breakthrough. But then he gave me the ball back, and then I went on to have perhaps the best bowling spell I've ever had in my life. And I've always reflected as to why did he do that? And then
trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
I think we can cement, and we can cement informative because,
yeah.
I mean, me as a direct person, to get me to have to
and ramble that fucking much.
It's not even rambling. It's searching for a story to represent what you're saying. I have to actively do that. Like, I have to put in energy to do that. It seems to be his default way of explaining things. So yeah, I think we can cement informative and
TIFE.
Yeah, and I think outcome. We have several points for outcome. Not yet, but we could.
Okay, so let's look at the chart, guys. So with informative, that eliminates all of the direct types. So that means the ESTJ, ESTP, ENTJ, and ENFJ are gone. And then you have the finishers, which are Christian's type, ISTJ, ISTP, INTJ, and INFJs. Christian's ISTP. So the finishers are gone now as well, or chart the course, whatever you want to call it. And all we have left is the ESFJ, ESFP, ENTP, and ENFP, and ISFJ, ISFP, INTP, and INFP, right? And we go ahead and hit him for he's TI too. So with TI, that eliminates the TE users. So ESFP, ENFP, INFP, and ISFP. We're down to 4 types here. He's either an NTP or SFJ, guys. Right? He's either NTP or SFJ, just being TE, FI, and informative, guys. So if we hit him for outcome, then we know we're down to ISFJ or INTP, and he's a fucking CEO. I mean, you should not have to use your fucking brain to figure out that obviously he's a fucking abstract, systematic person.
In fact, much later on in life, I went back and asked him even. And
this motherfucker's so curious he had to go back. See, that's the thing about TI. They will not hold up until they get a fucking answer to a question. Like, I have to, sometimes Christian be doing some shit, and I just want to TE move the fuck on. Christian like, nah, he got to tinker with some shit. And now it's like it's come like fully over to like I know what's really going on, bro. Christian can't move past something until he completely understands it, until he answers that question why.
Basically. And it's funny. I'm just gonna add this for the audience so that they can learn a little bit. School, right? School is a very TE focused process. And I always used to complain, like, damn, like all these people just get through school and they didn't learn anything, right? And the reason is because all the while I was going through school, I wasn't just like doing the TE things. Like I was actually thinking through what I was learning so that I could properly understand it, which is why I always feel like even looking back through that process, I learned a lot through school, even though I didn't put much effort into like actually the testing and all that process that they add on. I actually learned the concepts. So if you want to learn a difference between TI, TE, so you can notice somebody who's trying to understand why things are the way they are, TI, that's kind of like a red flag that should pop in your head. Like, oh, that's a TI user because he's always,
like a TE user will tend to just get enough to move on. Once they get enough to move on, they'll just move the fuck on.
Yeah.
But like a TI, they have to go underneath deep, guys. So you'll notice that.
Hey, I surmise it was a leadership decision he made of saying, look, I recognize that he had recognized the importance of not breaking my confidence. And I said, look, well, that's a pretty enlightened decision for a high school leader, captain of a cricket team to make. And a lot of leadership lessons is that, right? Which is you got to make hard calls on, say, performance. But also, you got to be able to sort of understand that you need your team. And it's not like everybody's going to have a good day all the time. And that subtle distinction and that judgment, right, which is one of the things that I feel, which is the most understated part of leadership, is judgment. And it's so important. And that judgment comes by you exercising this muscle around passing judgment and learning from it. And I thought
Marissa,
that's
what do you
one
think
of the
about
lessons
that?
I learned.
He was building a
What do you think about that? That seems to parallel a little bit what we talked about Patrick Bet-David having like a developed FE, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would just say sometimes one thing about like being an ENTJ is like I can see the potential in other people better than they can see it in themselves, and I can see exactly what role they need to play, right? And maybe,
But the restraint, what I'm talking about is the restraint of not killing people's confidence, not passing judgment harshly, right? So putting it in a way to where it's digestible, you're taking account of their feelings when you go to judge somebody as opposed to just passing judgment and not caring, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
it seems as though maybe this person who was leading the team was an FE user, or a more developed, more developed in charge type, right? Those are going to be generally the ones that are going to do what he is talking about and kind of enamoring him, right? Because he's a background type. So background types kind of really like that, they really like those in charge types. That's why you see Elon like fucking sucking Trump dick now.
That's right.
So you didn't end up playing professional cricket, sadly.
Here I am.
But you did make your way.
I tell you, bro, with their FE jokes, but they'll start laughing before like anybody else does, bro. Look at this shit, bro.
I learned.
He was building your confidence in a way by making you.
That's right.
So you didn't end up playing professional cricket, sadly.
Here I am.
But you did make your way to the US, and soon after you started your own family. And in reading your book, something that really moved me was how much you talk about your family and the role they've played bringing empathy into your life. Could you share with us how being a parent has shaped you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very big part of what has perhaps shaped my worldview. And for both my wife and me, both my wife and I grew up together. We went to the same schools. And we were the only children of our parents. So when we were both in our late 20s, when our first son was about to be born, we were very excited. The household was all about, my wife's an architect, and so she was practicing at that time. And so my only concern was, when will Anu go back to school? I would go back to...
Concern any
work and how are we going to think about the baby's daycare and what have you. And lo and behold, one night, there was some complications, and our son Zain was born. Because of some complications, he now has cerebral palsy. He's has quadriplegia and is locked in.
Damn.
And I would say for the first maybe as many as 5 years, I struggled with it, primarily because I felt that all these plans that I had for what our life was going to be like had taken a real turn. And then I watched
Outcome, right?
Outcome. All
Outcome's
these plans that I have for my life. Now it's wildly different. If he was processed, he would just adapt. He'd be like, okay, now life is like this. Now we take this step. You know what I mean?
Who go up and down 520 in Seattle, taking him to every therapy possible, speech, occupational. And then I was just watching it and still moaning my own sort of whatever.
If you see the way he's talking, it's all about his experience. Are you noticing that? He's not talking about like what's going on around him. I was moaning, I was watching, it's all his experience. SI.
Issues. But then it dawned on me that nothing actually happened to me. Something had happened to my son, and that I needed to, as a father, step up and do my duty.
Step up, do my duty, SI again.
In other words, it is the harsh but real lesson around being able to see the world through the eyes of my son. Right? That's what empathy is all about.
We're talking about empathy here. That's FE.
FE,
through somebody else.
But it took him time, though. It took him time to get there.
Yeah. So. Why is that, Christian? FE inferior, bro.
Yeah, in the lower spots.
FE inferior in that lower spot.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I mean, it's innate in us all as humans. I think empathy is something that we're all...
I think, TI. And the reason why that's important is because they're putting the importance on is that I think this, right? That means it has come through my brain. Like, this is what I think, right?
It's my understanding. It's my understanding that this is how this works, is what he's saying. Mm-hmm. So that's a TI.
So he's putting importance on that. Well, that's why he's saying that. I think empathy is something that we're very capable of.
Mm-hmm. All very capable of. Life teaches us that, and in small ways and in tough ways. Like, I remember even the last interview by the last interviewer when I was interviewing at Microsoft was also a life-changing moment for me. So I went through this interview. It was all code on screen at that time, and so this guy sort of says, "Hey, here's a question for you. You're at the crossroads. A baby falls and is crying. What'll you do?" And I say, "Wow, this is some search algorithm I didn't learn. It must be some variant of some traveling salesman problem or something." And I sort of really thought about it for a few minutes. And then I said,
I thought about it, TI.
I'll go to the phone booth and call 911. This was pre-smartphone. So he gets up, he escorts me out, and he says,
"Yeah,
you know what? You need to
develop some empathy." That's funny.
Yeah, his FE inferior.
I thought the same thing. I literally thought the same thing. I was like, bro.
See, that's something. I mean, he basically saying like, that's not my strong point. Like, let me call somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that great at that, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying right there.
I thought the same thing, bro.
Falls.
Like, let me get away from my inferior function. People will either super embrace the inferior function or they'll run. And at that particular time, he was given the opportunity to either embrace it or run, and he chose to fucking run.
Right.
You pick them up and hug them first before you call.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's it. I'm definitely not going to get this job. And lo and behold, I did get the job. But nevertheless, I mean, I
so they didn't care about empathy.
So core. And some people say, well, like, what does that have to do with sort of business, or what does it have to do with work? And I believe it has everything to do with work. I believe if you sort of say innovation is all about meeting unmet, unarticulated needs of customers, where is that source of your ability to get in touch with that unmet, unarticulated need going to come from? It's going to come from your ability to, in some sense, be able to listen between the lines, to be able to
listen between the lines.
Extrapolate.
And that's, to me, deep sense of empathy, right? So people talk about design thinking. I think design thinking is empathy. And so therefore, I do believe that, life teaches you empathy, and, empathy
These are
is
all
the source of
TI.
success in any
These are all
innovative
TI understandings.
agenda you have.
These are all
TE, TI, and FE. So what he's doing right now is the first half of his life he developed TI, but now he's learning that life to him, he gets more out of life through developing FE.
right.
So that's what you're seeing now, and he's pushing it.
So
Right? People are gonna push the inferior once they start building it up and they're good with it.
right.
Right?
So
Because that's what
this.
gave them the most satisfaction.
So you're seeing right now his developed self after he went through that process. Now he's incorporating these FE things into his life, and as you see, is allowing him to get to bigger and better things. That's why
if you see him,
y'all
he's extremely
need to
happy.
go to the Road to Demigod videos and consume those, because we're bringing the heat. If you guys want to do the same similar things to this guy, we're gonna bring that stuff to you in the Road to Demigod. Okay.
And if you don't think I'm fucking listening to what he's saying, being the ENTJ with no fucking FE, you're fucking crazy. I'm stealing his shit.
Have.
It's inspiring to hear you say that you think empathy is innate when we're living in a world where sometimes it feels like empathy is on the decline. So I think your point around empathy is really well taken.
It's a great question because, in fact, it is such a big word, and it is hard. In fact, even recently at Microsoft, we realized that it's important for us to even understand what are the necessary conditions to even develop empathy.
You're
So
talking
one of
about
the words,
the system to develop empathy there, right?
Not only that, breaking down the concept into understandable parts. TI. You take a big concept. That's why you say it's a big word, meaning not big as in size, big as in vague, as in expansive, meaning break it down into its understandable parts with TI. Okay, this is a TI statement.
And define.
words we have developed, we've put into our sort of parlance is respect. For example, if you don't start from a place of having some respect for the other person's views, where they come from, their complete history, it's very hard to develop empathy. So therefore, I think you're absolutely right to say, before you think about some of these higher level things, you have to sort of even question what are the basics that we need to get right.
Absolutely. And that's become so core to your leadership at Microsoft. So if we turn now to Microsoft, before you were CEO, you took this job leading Microsoft's first real cloud business. And Steve Ballmer apparently told you this might be your last job at Microsoft because if you fail, there's no parachute. That feels like a lot of pressure. Why did you make that jump?
Steve, who went to school here, had many. He just went for 1 year, from what I understand. Oh, this is the funniest thing I should tell. This. I mean, I guess the other guy who went to school here was Mukesh Ambani. So I believe one day Steve Ballmer was introducing Mukesh in Bombay, and he joked that both of us dropped out of GSB, except that Mukesh had never told anybody that he had dropped out of GSB. So there was a real scandal.
I say that's actually funny.
So Steve, wanted us to really take this new business area, which was our online business. In fact, Susan, who's here, and I worked on it for a long time as well. And he felt that, look, this was a place where we needed to make progress. And Steve had this very clear sense of what it means to succeed. And his point was, you're going to go learn a lot. And of course, I'll fire you if you don't do a good job with it.
That's the thing. Christian, who does that? What personality type do that? What personality type thought like that?
What, talks like that directly?
And of course, if you don't do it, then I'll fire you. We talked about this.
What, the ENTJs?
ENTJ, Christian. ENTJ. Steve Ballmer's the ENTJ. Yeah. If you don't do a good job, I'll fire you. See, ENTJs don't have no problem firing you, right? But we learned from Patrick David, hey, that's not always the best course of action, guys. Not always the best course of action. Not really just, all or nothing.
And it was sort of a way for him to perhaps communicate both why he as the CEO cared about this business and at the same time his expectations. But I must say that particular tour of duty has been the most influential in how I've sort of thought about whether it's distributed computing at its core, whether it's the economic models that are going to be emergent. And that has been very, very helpful. Doing different things inside the company has helped me grow to run the company eventually. So, I actually appreciate Steve both giving me that opportunity and, more importantly, giving me the message that, look, at the end of the day, it's performance that matters.
Did you know at the time that
Pause it for a second.
decision was putting you on a path to one day?
It takes a very specific, not very specific, but it takes a certain type of person to take feedback or instruction like that and take it in a positive manner. Like we've described in other videos, or I think in the interview that we had with CSJ, we explained to him that different people take information different ways, right? Like some people will just break down when you try to give them that amount of pressure or that amount of direct communication. Other people take it and elevate, right? So this is the type of person that takes that type of pressure and elevates, And I think you mentioned, did you mention he's a background type or?
Yeah, background.
Yeah, so the ENTJ with the background type combination,
Really good.
it could do very well, as we see right here.
Like I've always said this, like for instance, even though my best friend's INFP, if I tell that motherfucker what to do, and I'm very like on her ass about it, and I turn around, the shit gets done. And it's like a masterpiece. If I get on the INTP, turn around, the shit gets done. You gotta fucking reel it up they fucking ass, man. Like, a little bit, but they perform like that. If not, they kind of just like do fucking nothing. I mean, that's the truth. So if you're one of those types, you really need to put some pressure behind some of your stuff, or you could just drift through life. Okay.
That is true.
I think we're done here, Christian. We're done here, man. We're done.
Yeah, I think we're good. We got enough.
We're good. We're good, guys. So he's INTP, guys, and INTP, guys. He is INTPs are responding, guys. Even though it seems like he's initiating, he's just a well-developed INTP, right? The ones who get pretty developed don't mind initiating. Systematic, talking about models, whatnot. This guy is a systematic person. He's not talking about interests or motives of anything. Very curious on why, right? Pragmatic, which means they care about autonomy. And see, I was talking to a guy earlier, right? And he was having trouble with understanding what pragmatic versus affiliative is. Pragmatic, it just means the ends justify the means, right? That means I'm gonna have to do some fucked up shit to get where I'm gonna be at, but that is what it is, right? While like an affiliative person is not okay with that, right? They're not okay with doing that, right? I may have to step on somebody to get where I need to be. I may have to run a motherfucker over to get where I need to be. Like sometimes, that's the pragmatic approach to things. It's a utilitarian mindset, Christian.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. And I think people get it confused because they think that it needs to be evil. It's not about being evil. It's going against the established norm as well. So, for example, like society has certain rules and expectations that you have to follow for you to like kind of fall in line. Pragmatic people just throw away those expectations to get the results that they want, So that's how you have to understand it. For example, like let's say society says you need to buy a house. A pragmatic person is like, why do I need to buy a house? I could do this instead. It gets me to my outcome better. Or society says you need to go to college. A pragmatic person might say, okay, I might go to college. Maybe I don't need to. And if I do, I'm going to do it my way. Autonomy, right? Autonomy to get results faster, quicker, more efficiently, or whatever. That's pragmatism. Affiliative would be the direct opposite. You kind of follow the rules of society. You kind of fall in line with what your church says or what your parents told you the rules were. Affiliative people tend to do that more.
And a big thing is like he was saying like, oh well, somebody has a goal, right? They have a idealistic goal, right? But being pragmatic is how the fuck did you get to the idealistic goal? I may say I want to save every fucking person, but how do I get to that goal? Am I just steamrolling people to get there? Pragmatic. Or am I doing the right things to get there? Am I doing the right things? Cooperation with people to get to the goal. That's an affiliative person versus a pragmatic person. everybody thinks they're doing everything from a good perspective. That's what they say. What's the saying with the fucking hell is paved with good intentions?
Yeah.
Or like
Hell is
that's
full with people that have good intentions, something like that.
yeah. So,
Something
you
like that.
know, or like you do something long enough and you become the fucking villain. Okay. It's the same fucking thing there, guys. Okay. But overall, with affiliated people, you will see that majority of the time, they're going to do the right things to get where they need to be. Right. As in person of a fucking pragmatic person, they might Zeus your ass to get past you. Okay.
Or like
Um,
an affiliative person might take a little bit longer to do things because they have to follow the rules, essentially.
mhm.
You know, like when I met my wife, for example, she's an affiliative person. Like she wanted to go the traditional route of like, okay, 2 years of community college and transfer to major university and do that, or blah blah blah. I told her, listen, F all that, throw away all those expectations. This is what you're gonna do. It's the fastest way to get to where you're going for the best results. That's pragmatism, as opposed to affiliative is like, okay, I need to follow the established path, you know.
Mhm. Okay, guys. So informative, and he's clearly outcome, and he's SINE, guys. We got him as an INTP. Subtype, Chris. What you thinking? Dominant,
Normalizing type.
creative, normalizing, or harmonizing?
Actually, it could be either harmonizing or normalizing. I'm in between those two.
In
Well, what do you
between
think?
those two, I'm not seeing I'm not seeing harmonizing because it wasn't overall like he didn't start out with FE, right? He learned it over the course of time. As I think a harmonizing INTP would be more leaning into it. He learned the value of it and now he's leaning more into it. So I would probably say he's most likely a dominant or a normalizing. And I mean I could go with either or there. I can go normalizing there. That's cool with me.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he's, obviously he's very developed. He's a CEO and all that, but
yeah.
you know,
I think I would go normalizing there, guys. Christian, what would you rate his development? Above average, prodigy,
I would
average,
say
real shit.
I I'm not gonna lie. I just don't have enough information to put him at prodigy. But based
I mean,
on he has to be above average minimum.
yeah,
Because like we notice he has a developed inferior
inferior
function.
phone too.
He's high performing. I would put
Hmm.
him above average minimum. Can't be
Yeah,
anywhere below that. So,
yeah, I believe he is above average, guys. I do agree with Christian assessment there because one, he has his hero function well developed. He has his parent function well developed. His SI is on point as well, and his FE is on point. And there's other things, being CEO, TE's got to be on point as well. So I got to put him at bare minimum above average. I don't think he's busting down the door for Prodigy, but he might be on the way there, guys.
mhm.
Uh, and Enneagram guys, I think I'm gonna go 6, man. I think I'm gonna go 6 loyalist. I'm gonna go 6 SO. SO slash SP guys. I'm gonna go 6 W5 guys. So you got that from us guys. It was an absolute pleasure. I mean, this guy was more exciting than I actually thought, Christian. I
Mhm.
thought we was
Mhm.
gonna get a fucking boring, shitty ass one, but we ended up getting a pretty damn good one, guys. So, what you can learn from that guy is put some more empathy in your life because it goes a lot further than you think.
Mhm. For them
You guys think so?
for them NTJs, that is the name of the game because what we mentioned in the previous video, which is a golden video by the way, you need to go watch it, the Donald Trump video.
Donald Trump
Basically,
versus Patrick.
versus Patrick Bet David, of course. Basically, there are things that are gonna be there for ENTJ, for example, right? Like they're gonna strive for success, they're gonna get their metrics done, but the hard part is in that empathy category, that FE. If you develop that, then it sets you to another level, puts you on a different stratosphere. That's what you want to do, right? You want to become your developed self and add tools. Now, this guy, as you can see, he's added tools over the course of his lifetime, and now it's serving him well as a high performing CEO, of
Mhm. Being a
Microsoft.
background type. Yeah, being a background type and being a CEO.
That's
You
right.
know?
And then, and you could tell in the Dan stock, Mercer and I follow the stock market. Like we mentioned previously, Microsoft has been in an upward trajectory and people are really optimistic about their cloud services, etc. So this guy's doing an amazing job. So, and that comes with work. This did not happen by luck, okay? This guy has been working on himself for his whole life, okay? That's what you got to do, okay? So, mission statement for everyone watching, become your developed self, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. It was an absolute pleasure. We'll see you guys on the next one, and we're out.
Peace out.